who do you think they're gonna kill off the show? Pray tell or Bianca first.
The way Pray been living, like honestly, I feel like it would be more effective if Pray Tell goes first. I've got a deeper love inside.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I have with me a beautiful human being. His name is Danny Ortega from New York City.
Hey Michael.
We're gonna be reacting to or reviewing Pose Season 3, their final season. Unfortunately, we love the show, but it's a wrap for them. And we will also be doing this for Legendary Season 2. Danny, do you want to tell the people how we met?
Yes, so I met Michael over YouTube. As everyone knows, he does reviews on Drag Race, and it started back when the pandemic started. I started reviewing his channel and his Drag Race and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing, talented Black man. So I followed him on social media and stuff, then, hit him up, having small conversations, just saying, I really appreciated his work, and we started to form a friendship. We actually did a podcast together. He had asked me to do a podcast with him, and then that's how the friendship started.
Yes. You guys should go back into... what episode was that? I don't even remember, but we did a podcast. It was really fun.
Yes.
Now, you're a dancer, and you've been in the ballroom scene a little bit, so you have some type of insight into Pose, voguing, and Legendary and all of that.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Today's episode is specifically about the final season of Pose. Now, before we get into what happened in these 2 episodes, because they decided to do 2 episodes to premiere the freaking show, which was like a lot, and it airs at like 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I'm at. I was exhausted by the freaking second episode. I was out of it. But before we go into it, let's talk a little bit about the premiere when the cast was like premiering Pose the final season. Janet Mock. Do we want to get into this?
Do we want to get into this? Because a little birdie told me, the internet, that she went off. Ciao.
I can't find a video of it anywhere, so I guess no one recorded it, but reporters were there, so they reported on it, and in the article I read, she said a lot of things. She said F you to Hollywood. She cursed out Ryan Murphy. She divulged some very personal things in her life. I was like...
her cheating on her man. That's what...
I know. And I didn't even know she was dating this guy. The guy that plays Poppy on the show. Yeah. They've been in a committed relationship for a minute.
I didn't realize that either until it was brought up to light, which is crazy to me because I'm like, that's y'all personal business. I feel like people's personal business should not be something to exploit. Like, that's just crazy to me. And the fact that she went on a tangent, I was like, child, give me the tea. I'm ready. Like,
I know. Like, this was all started by, okay, you're the director of the show, you're an EP, you're like a co-creator. We're doing the final season. We're doing a premiere party with the cast. Let's just go up and say a few words, like, it was really nice working with you all. I love you all. I wish you all best on your new endeavors. Done. She was like,
and you would think that was going to happen, right?
That's what I expected. But she was like, no. I have something for your asses. And she went off. And she said a few things that stood out to a lot of people, and me as well. She talked about what her salary was.
Ooh, how much?
She was
$40,000?
$40,000 per episode. And Pose is not one of those shows that has like 20 episodes a season. It has maybe 10 at most episodes.
Tops.
Right.
Even though I believe this season should be 7, right?
Yeah, like 7 or 8. It's very short.
Right, and we already had 2 episodes going in, so.
Right, so I'm like, I understand paying an actor 15, 20, 30,000 an episode because it's a brand new show. Like in season 1, it's a pilot thing and you don't have a lot of money and you're just trying to see where it goes. But Pose has been like a cult classic at this point. It has a huge following. A lot of people like it.
Right.
It's been 3 seasons now. How is it she's saying, as of today, I'm getting $40,000 an episode as a co-creator? Where I feel like with all the titles she has in the credits on this show, she would be making more money than any of the actors. Which leads me to wonder, like, is Billy Porter sitting around collecting less than $40,000 per episode? And Billy Porter has a name. I'm like,
I doubt that.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, is Billy Porter making more than Janet Mock at this point? Because he has a name behind him. He is a huge personality. He has Tonys and all these things.
He's very much an icon. I will give him that. He's an icon, a talented man. And my whole thing is like, her being the co-creator. It's kind of mind blowing because it's, where's your coin at? But at the same time, I felt, in my personal opinion, is that she needs to play the game. You get what I'm saying? You got to play the game. Like, you in Hollywood, baby. It's a different standard, so.
I get playing the game, but in this day and age right now, people are tired of playing the game, I guess. And it's like when Monique came out and she's like, y'all paid me $150,000 for this movie. Don't quote me on that. I feel like it was something around that. It wasn't a lot of money. Maybe 500,000, I think. But it was not a lot of money. She didn't get millions for Precious. And then she was like, you want to parade me all over the world doing all these things and you're not paying me for extra for it. I don't want to do it. I'm not contractually obligated to do it. So she said no and she spoke out. So I don't mind a Janet coming out and saying, I feel underpaid. I feel overworked. I feel like underappreciated and undervalued. I don't mind her saying these things because I feel like it's real. And she was, I feel like doing that, it's standing up for people like, the Electra and all the other trans women on the show. So when they get other jobs, they can know that you need to take more because they're shortchanging us,
You know what? I agree. I do agree. You just put it into perspective and it's like, you're right. Because, excuse me, because even in the show, there's a lot of trans rights in the show. So you being a trans person yourself, it's very much like, you need to pay me what I deserve. But also, it's like, I want to know what Ryan Murphy's making too. Y'all need to at least have matching salaries or somewhere up there, at least somewhere up there. It's like, what's
for sure. And I don't think Ryan Murphy's taking home $40,000 per episode for that show. That would not, I don't see that happening in this universe.
Yeah, not happening.
So I'm glad she spoke up about it. I'm shocked that as a transgendered woman, being a co-creator of this show, hiring so many trans women and trans men and just LGBTQ people as actors in this show, she would be subjected to this type of treatment. And in our minds as a public, we're like, oh, she's doing something for the community and she's making things better for us and people are seeing us now and yada yada yada, but then she's there trying to pull us up, but she's still being dragged, pushed down. She's not where we thought she was. I was of the assumption that she was there making coin, she was there being able to make boss moves because she's a co-creator, but apparently that's not how the cookie crumbles.
But you know what, in your mind, this is what you would think to yourself, granted, wow, this is somebody who's a staple in the community really showing out. And it's like, you never know what happens behind closed doors. For example, we did not have to know her business with Poppy.
That's my only issue with her entire rant. I'm like, I get it. Speak up because you deserve more and you deserve better. But when she literally told the guy, because, you're on stage and everyone's seated, she told her partner, stand up. She told him, stand up in front of everyone, and then she pointed him out. I cheated on you with someone on the set, so you cheated on me with someone who I work with. And she's like, I'm so grateful that you decided to stay and work it out with me because I can't see my life without you, and I don't want to live in my house without you. I'm like, you don't want to live in your house without him? Is it that you want him because he is like a companion to you, or you actually love this man, or what?
Like, what's the real tea behind that? And it's like, child, I'm not gonna speak on their relationship, but I will say this: to
Would you walk out? Like, would you leave her after that statement? Like, after she did all that and called you out in public, would you like be like, I'm out?
Okay, I would sit down and have a discussion. First of all, if you cheat on me, we're done, point blank, period. So it's all be all for me. And it's like, for her to just state that in public and call out your partner, it puts the spotlight on their relationship now, which is not something I know I wouldn't want that. Like,
Yeah.
people know my business. Because let's say, hypothetically speaking, that I do forgive my partner. That's nobody else's business that you cheated. Now it's just making me look crazy. Like, you have people now attacking you and then really trying to figure out what's happening in our relationship. Like for example, I question, maybe he stayed because he probably cheated. You know what I'm saying? She probably forgiven him in some type of way. So it's like, that's probably what goes on, but you never know.
I mean, a lot of things could have happened. It's just like the embarrassment for me. For me, it's like, if we have a rough spot and we talk about it and we decide to move forward together and to not like allow outside forces to manipulate or destroy whatever we have, and then we come to that consensus, and in public, because we come to that consensus in private, but in public you're going to be like, this is what had happened between us, and I just want y'all to know I'm grateful for him. I'm like, no, because I didn't want this to be public. It was hard enough to like forgive you and move past it. Now I have to relive this with everybody asking me questions, looking at me, thinking like, why did you stay? Who did she cheat on you with? Was it one of the camera guys? Was it another actor?
Was it right? Like, it just brings all this questioning to your relationship, which is something you could have avoided. And it's like, now I feel like the relationship is going to dwindle away because of how much she just decided to go, she probably had one too many drinks. Like,
in the article they said she looked like she was unraveling. So I'm like, was she a little intoxicated? Was she hyped up on some juice and like, I'm just gonna bear it all out? Maybe.
She was definitely on the devil shit, because there's just no way you're just gonna go all out like that, especially calling out your partner and then talking about the network and then the people
I'm
working
like, this
with the
is
network.
this like wrapping up the season, and right now is when other like production houses and other people are looking to see what you're doing. So they're like, okay, you're no longer on this project. Maybe I want to contact you to work with you.
Mm-hmm. To pick you up.
I personally would if I were in a position to like offer her a job or like work with her, I would personally do it. But other people might look at her and be like, you're messy. If you don't like her salary, you're not gonna come to. I don't even know if she went to Ryan Murphy and talked to him about it, because we don't know the full story. But someone on the outside might be like, you don't like what you're getting paid, we don't have a discussion, you're gonna just air the laundry out here, you're gonna air your personal laundry, then I can't trust you with my business because you're loosey-goosey with yours,
Exactly. It's like, no, I agree. It's like, you're already making a bad example of yourself right now, as this new season, the final season, is premiering. So it's like, boom, 2020 in hindsight. Are you somebody I'm going to want to work with? Yes, I would want to work with you. But at the same time, other people like are not going to want to pick you up. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, this is why earlier I said you got to play the game. You know what I mean? You got to play the game. Yeah, okay, I understand that, you're speaking your voice, but at the same time, there's a certain place and platform to speak your voice.
For sure.
I feel like she should have just waited until the season was over.
I mean, there's no time like the present. She did it already. I just hope that it didn't affect her for her future, like, endeavors. I hope she still is able to get work, and I think she has a deal with Netflix, so she's okay. She's going to work, but I hope like past this, people will forget that she like aired her laundry like her personal laundry.
Literally. I mean,
Well, let's get
whole tell in time.
in time. We'll know. You want to get started and talk about Pose episode 1, season 3. What do you think of the opening scene?
Woo, child. When I tell you this season started off with a bang, it started off with a bang. I was not expecting Elektra's sex S&M dungeon to get rated like that. Like, the cops came in and it was very much right off the bat saying verbatim, you know, y'all need to stop spreading this disease or whatever. And Elektra was like, what? And then another person was like, Rod, the cops are here. It was crazy.
I liked it. I liked it because it was like giving you accurate portrayal or description of what the early 90s was. This was, they were saying this was around 94.
Right.
Giuliani was, all right, oldie.
Listen.
Giuliani was mayor at the time, and I remember I know a lot of New Yorkers like that have been around for, you know, the entire 90s. Like, they were adults back then. They talk about how Giuliani was like not a great mayor and how he handled things very poorly. He didn't take the AIDS epidemic seriously, and he villainized queer people, and this was like a really accurate portrayal or depiction of what the 90s was actually like. They were shutting down sex shops, they were villainizing sex workers and saying they're spreading this disease, and no one was trying to come up with solutions to eradicate the disease itself. They were trying to just silence and eradicate gay and queer people.
Right. I mean, especially at that time too, you have to look at it, it's still early 90s, about to hit mid 90s, and it's like, come on, being queer back then was not, and you know, just not acceptable, period. So the fact that they just thought every gay person had AIDS or HIV, depending on what the status was, and that, you know, they thought it was spreaded by airborne, right? And it's just, it's crazy to think about, and that's why I love this show, because it's like, wow, it's really accurate to the time frame of what the era was.
Yeah, a lot of people were ignorant to what the disease was and how to handle it. So I like that scene. Then
she looks sickening too.
She always looks really good.
Oh,
like
she looks.
I love Dominique, her character on the show, Elektra. In real life, Dominique is way less, like, she's not so grand. You know, she's pared down. She's really chill. But on the show, she is just this grand dom. Madam, she's just everything. Yeah, mother.
Mother has arrived. Like, that's literally exactly what she portrays. And I just think she's just an icon. She said it herself.
She did say that. They obviously wanted to move away from Elektra being the villain. So we are seeing a different side to Elektra this final season, where she's softer and she's more motherly. Like, she is the most motherly I've ever seen her throughout the past 2 seasons. Because before, she would be quick to cut down her kids and treat them like trash. Now she's like, I'm your mother and I'm giving you a pep talk. I'm telling you what's best for you. Like, legitimately, she's invested in what they're going on in their lives, and she's trying to make them better.
She's basically giving them, like, harsh reality. Because as she's talking, you can tell she's more caring and nurturing as an individual, as a mother, but she still has that
she still has that quickness about her and that harshness, but she's still very loving. I love that about her.
It's like, I love to see the transformation. It's
her
nice
character
to see
is
her
really developed.
Very much so from and it's funny because going back to the intro scene, it kind of reminded me of season 1, episode 1, where she went to the ball and she got arrested. The cop, she's just always in trouble with Marvelous.
Yeah, I remember. I was literally watching that today. I was watching a video on YouTube about the accuracies of certain scenes in the show. But yeah, that's a different topic. Moving on from the Elektra no longer being the villain, they decided to switch up who the villain would be. You want to talk about it? Because all of a sudden, this little meek and mild character who was like just following behind everyone turned into, you know,
the
villain.
High bitch himself.
Yeah, let's talk
Mr.
about
Lamar.
House of Khan. House of Khan.
Ooh, come on, House of Khan. Now look, when it first started and they went to the ball, because Blanca was gonna whoop his ass because he was being very shady and catty, and I was like, where is this coming from? Like I was like, wow, okay, let me just keep watching to see what's going on. Come to find out, he had created the House of Khan. He is now the father of the House of Khan. And as the ball was starting in the first episode, the category was closed, right? And in the ballroom scene, when the category is closed, it's closed. Like it's over. It's done. But the
Yeah,
fact
that was
that
something I was like, that's interesting that they're doing this for the show because in real life, I've never been to a ball in my life, never been to an actual one,
we gotta take
personally, but I want to. Like, if you're down and when the world is okay, I'm coming.
yeah,
But watched a lot of them on like YouTube and stuff.
yeah,
And when they say category closed, it's closed, honey. Like you cannot walk on.
like period.
So that was interesting.
Right. No, it was interesting because I was thinking to myself, like, okay, the category is now closed. Why is the House of Khan being able to walk? Right? Didn't agree with that. So as I'm watching, I'm not gonna lie, they came in and they served. They served. They served. Like,
They look really good. I was like, okay, but what the show was trying to portray also with House of Khan is this is the early 90s and a lot of the legendary iconic people in Ballroom were passing away due to AIDS and HIV complications, and now these younger kids are coming up and they're forming their own houses. House of Khan, he left Electra's House of Abundance, he hopped around, but he's now House of Khan father, and they're only walking if they get money. They're no longer in it just for a trophy. They're like, we want money.
Now, no, agreed. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you're right. It's now first of all, you're giving House of Khan right now from the first ball. Like with the red, it was giving Thurman face. Like, you have the face. But it's like, yeah, now they're in it for the money. Because he even said it himself. He was like, because we're going to get these cash prizes. Which is, you start to see the change in the community of where it was all family-based and love versus now it to be a competitive edge with grand prizes. I think, who said it? Somebody said it, and they were like, Pray said it. Pray Tell said it. He was like that the ballroom scene is now changing, and how it's about cash prizes, and the sensibility is now just gone, and these kids are now being selfish and ungrateful. It's just like it's mind blowing to me because that's how ballroom is kind of today. Like you can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's all about money, and I get it, but to me, it's like the natural evolution of ballroom, if you think about it, because it was created for queer people who didn't see themselves on TV and magazines and in music. They were like, where am I going to get this type of fame and adoration from? We have to go create a whole little community for ourselves, and we walk, and then our peers will give us a trophy and give us the praise and respect. The natural, ascension for that type of situation is for it to become monetarily lucrative because okay, I walk, I put all this money into costumes and looks and hours of practicing how to vogue and all these things, and I come and I get a trophy, and then I gotta go feed myself and I'm broke. So it's like I'm putting in this effort, I need something in return so that it can motivate me to come back.
Right. No, I completely get that because it's like what you put in is what I'm getting out. So I can definitely see what you're saying with that. But the way Lamar is going about it this season so far, just from the intro, Miss Thing is not coming to play with the children. He's ready to serve.
Yeah, there's a lot of bitterness from Lamar because I feel like the show is trying to show his character evolving into kind of an Electra type person, where Electra probably was that girl when she was younger, running around behind some other mother and doing all these things, and then realizing I don't need anyone. I'm self-sufficient and I'm fabulous and I can do it for myself. And Lamar's like, I'm that person. I don't need a mother. I am the mother. I'm now the father of my own house. And he's just going about it with a lot of viciousness. But we have to remember, this viciousness was learned. Electra was his mom, then Candy was his big sister, and all these people. So it's like, this is learned behavior, to double cross your parents and then read them and be catty. So I was like, that's interesting. But what was also interesting, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, what was also interesting is that, yeah, they were in it for the money, and he's very catty, and he has a new house, but they're so serious about the money, they're willing to come jump you for it.
That's
It then
exactly the point
showed
I was
a
about to bring
different
up.
perspective. It's like old school, like 60s, 70s, 80s ballroom, now transitioning into 90s ballroom. This is a different breed of kids, a different generation.
Right.
And now these kids are like, if you don't get me what I want, because this is survival for me. If you don't pay me, I'm coming to take it. And they're very flighty. And in the 90s in New York, there's a lot of violence. So it's like, I get it. They have to fight for their lives, and they're willing to fight for their money. And that was interesting to see. I felt like that was like an authentic thing. What I didn't think was authentic was the fight scene. The fight scene was... I was like, what is this Disney Channel
It was a
fight?
food fight. It was a
thing.
Food fight. Literally, the other dining about, okay, where's my money? And I was like, okay, I can see that, but not the whole Deshaun grabbing Billy and just throwing him and just.
This is really a lot. And then they're like spraying ketchup and mustard, and Pray Tell is screaming. I'm like, these kids are here having a food fight with these middle-aged men. This is something. I personally didn't find it that interesting or great acting-wise.
Right.
Because
and honestly, they were having fun.
Yeah, I'm hypercritical of like acting. I'm not even an actor. Go figure. Go figure. I'm just a guy on the internet giving my opinions on stuff.
But even so, it's accurate. I'm with you on that, because the acting, it's like, if you can make me cry with all these emotional scenes, which we will get to later with Cubby, it's like you can set a standard to make it more accurate with the fighting, which I agree. It was very much like Disney Channel. Like, no, I actually wanted to see, I want to see somebody get popped. I really wanted to see some action, because it's like, that's what I'm accustomed to seeing. This is something that is real.
That's a part of the community. They do have real fights. I mean, ballroom, part of voguing was like, yeah, you're mad, we're mad, I want to punch you, but let's not hit each other. Let's have a dance battle.
We'll leave
it there. So it shows that a lot of these younger people coming up in the ballroom scene had less respect for the foundation of ballroom and respect for each other. So that was interesting. I'm glad you mentioned Cubby, because he was like Lamar's twin for the past 2 seasons. They were inseparable. Anywhere you saw one, you saw the other. And they were just two beautiful little boys who vogued the house down boots and were like always running behind anyone. And Cubby was unrecognizable to me in that hospital scene. It took me a minute. It took me a minute to be like, oh my god, that's that character. That's the character that's always with Lamar.
It was like, first and foremost, it was nice to see Blanca as a nurse.
Well, she wasn't a nurse. She was like, back in the day, you used to have like candy stripers. I think that's what they call them. So she was kind of that, but for the AIDS wing. Yeah. So she would just help the patients feel comfortable and reach out to their loved ones so that they can say their final goodbyes.
Which is, I feel like crying because it was so emotional to me, because like when she seen him, it was like, damn, she reached out to his mom, and he was just very much like, I don't want to see her. You know what I mean? And like, she just knew what it was like to be in his shoes, because she feels like, she even said it herself, one day it could be her. You know what I'm saying? Because she's also positive. And it's like, it kind of made me worried for the future of where the season's going to go, because maybe she's probably foreshadowing something for her future. And it's like, ooh, like, it was just very, very tragic. And then like the whole situation with his mom, he was definitely unrecognizable. It was very, very like, the makeup artist.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I could not tell it was Cubby. And that scene you're talking about, it made me really emotional. I was like, this is good acting from Cubby. And as an actor or a character who never really got any type of emotional or prolific or interesting
backstory,
whatever type of scenes. Yeah, we never knew anything about him. And he was always just in the background, wavering between whatever. And then all of a sudden, he gets this scene, and the prosthetics, his skin, his teeth. I was like, this looks like a completely different person. I look at him and I feel like, yes, he's in danger of losing his life, and I have so much sympathy. And then he's crying about his mom and all of that, and Blanca is there like, look, and he at this point he loses his eyesight.
Yeah,
and he's still looking in a mirror to think, like, that scene was so emotional for me. But you were asking me earlier today, did I cry? And I'm like, not you crying right now.
I'm not crying. You know, I got something in my eye. All right, my eye. You know,
you asked me earlier today, like, did I cry? I'm like, no, I didn't, because I'm not an easy crier for certain. I don't know. But I do get like emotional, and I saw it and I felt emotional watching it. I'm like, this is really sad. And the first comment I made,
I was crying. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was literally bawling my eyes. I was like, because it's like, I can't imagine what they're going through, just period. But it reminds me of the film Philadelphia. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Right, and it was basically just seeing how the movie progressed and how like AIDS took over, and there was really no solution on to how to deal with the disease. It was kind of sad. I was like, damn, you know, it was just like, I started crying. I was like, y'all got me. Oh, you got me early. You got me early. Like,
the one thing I said when I saw that scene, I was like, this is acting. This is a great acting scene. Blanca's acting, like, I love Blanca's character. I think she's like a great mom for the kids and everything. But like, as an actress, y'all don't take this personally. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. It doesn't matter. It's an opinion. I've never found her to be the best actress on the show.
Right. Especially during the earlier seasons. First of all of them. Nobody attacked me. I'm just saying. The proof is in the pudding. You can see it yourself. It was very much like they're saying the lines but not feeling the lines. So yes, I can definitely see what you're saying.
A lot of times. And I'm pretty sure these are people that have wanted to be actors all their lives and probably trained for it. I'm just saying, as a viewer watching it, I didn't feel what I thought I needed to feel in those moments from them. So I'm like, if I'm not feeling it, then it doesn't matter if you're doing it, because, like, yeah, you're doing it, but if I'm not feeling it, then you're probably not doing it right.
That part. But so, it was, the scene was honestly, it was a beautiful scene. And it was just like, you know, she made a joke like, you can't even see her, you know, like, and it made me laugh because she was really being sympathetic to the situation. And it's just, I can see that this season so far already is coming in with a bang. And I'm just worried because she probably foreshadowed for her future. And it might end with a bang, which is something I'm worried about. You know,
she might die for the final episode or something. It might happen, or Pray Tell might die. I don't know, but either way,
we should make a bet.
You know what? All right. Who do you have? Who do you think they're gonna kill off the show? Pray Tell or Bianca first?
The way Pray been living, like, honestly, I feel like it would be more effective if Pray Tell goes first. I'm gonna say Pray Tell because,
they're gonna kill Blanca first.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. It's a bet. It's on. but why do you say that? Like, give me a reason as to why.
I can see it because Pray Tell, when he's not, like, I don't want to go too far into the episode, but anyways, Pray Tell, when he's like sober and like doing his thing, he is really grounded, and he's that type of person that can bring people together. And I feel like it would be a good storyline for him to like take over the house and like try to continue her legacy, because the show is not really centered around Pray Tell. He's a main character, but Blanca is the ultimate, you know, cast member of the show or whatever. Yeah, it's mostly around her and her kids. So I feel like it would be more effective as a viewer if she were to pass, and then he had to be like, okay, children, come on, we have to continue this legacy for her because of all that she has done for all of us.
Right. Okay. I can see what
$50. $50 is
we can
what
do
the
this.
bet is. And,
okay, $50. Don't be mad when I get my coin. That's all I'm saying. And the only reason why I'm saying Pray Tell is because, as you see in the first episode, he's drinking on medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like alcoholism is a big thing for me because I have dealt with people who are alcoholics, so I can just see what path that is going to lead him to. It's like, where do we go from here? What's going on? You know?
All right,
So
let's get into Pray Tell then, since like brought him up. Like,
oh, we can get into it.
Pray Tell has the character of Pray Tell has now been like going off the wagon. We know Pray Tell was diagnosed with HIV. I don't think they said he had AIDS. Did you just say he had HIV?
No, I just think he's positive.
Know.
Yeah,
okay.
I just think he's positive.
So I remember last season he was really sick and he got out of the hospital and he's like getting better because he's on medication. And now he's coping the loss of all his friends and his community with drinking while on this medication, and he's really spiraling.
Yes.
So bad to the point where
memorial.
Right. So, and I can imagine a lot of people were dying in New York City at that time. Now, he drinks to the point where he loses Ricky. Ricky leaves him, which was so. That scene, I was like, that's so, real. As an addict, like, sometimes as a partner of an addict, you really want to help, but you have to think about yourself first. And unfortunately, Ricky had to make a difficult decision, and Ricky left him. You want to talk about that scene when they tried to do the intervention?
Oh, child, let me get into it. So, my whole thing is, right, because I took down notes. Baby, I wrote everything down. My whole thing is, because I remember writing this, I said, Pray Tell, talking to Ricky, because Ricky, he was out the door, right? But my thing is, they all decided to have an intervention for him. And low-key, the way they went about it was correct, because he even attacked
him. I didn't think the way they went about it was right at all.
Really?
So
interesting.
They met with this person who gave them some, advice, and writing the letters was a good way to go about it, but their letters weren't very effective. If you want me to, like, change something about me and, like, fix up and do better, and you're going to say, oh, you start off with I love you and the good things, which is good, but then the way they phrased the negative things, if you're dealing with a drunk, especially a mean drunk, you can't phrase the negative things so harshly, because they will not see through the love. They will just see an attack, and then they will, in return, attack you.
Right. But my thing is, I get with the phrasing. The only reason why I said they went about it correctly is because I'm used to being told too harshly, right? And in the community of people I'm around, I'm just used to that, because dealing in that situation, I had to be harsh, like Electra was when she read her letter, and she was checking him like, you need to get your shit together and go to rehab, because you're acting a fool and everybody's concerned about you, and look how it's affecting everybody. He literally he told Poppy that he is running the coattails of a crackhead. I was out. He was reading everybody, and then he even read Blanca and literally said she's like a HIV charity case for Chris. You know what I mean? He was just attacking people, and they took it. You see what I'm saying? They took it and still rolled with the punches to better off him, to better help him, and agreed again. Like Ricky, he had to get the fuck up out of there. And something that kind of broke my heart was when he said to Ricky, "You're positive. Nobody wants you." That was like. That was very hurtful.
That was a real scene, and I liked the writing. I enjoyed the writing for that scene. I enjoyed the writing for the scene when they were doing the intervention, because I'm like, a lot of people don't know how to approach an addict. So they approached him wrong in certain ways. And then he retaliated because he's a mean drunk. And that's how people talk when they're mad and they're drunk and they don't know what they're doing. So I think the writing was perfect. And then when he was cursing out Ricky about, where are you gonna go? Nobody wants you. You don't have any education. I'm all you have. That was his last resort, because he was scared of being lonely, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna tear him down and make him think that he will be nothing without me.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't
very manipulative.
work.
Very, very, very manipulative.
It is, because addicts are manipulative. They have to be manipulative to survive as functioning addicts or whatever. You know, so I appreciated the writing and the acting for those scenes. What I didn't understand for most of the episode was why O.J. Simpson played such a huge freaking role.
Right.
I know this was happening during the O.J. Simpson trial and when, you know, everything happened. And when I first saw it on the thing, I was like, maybe they're using this to like timestamp, like to let us as viewers know this was around the time in the 90s when we were having this moment.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this is around the time when OJ was going through that thing. But then they turned it into a watch party, and every other scene
it was
they
like
talked about it.
thing.
I was like, why is juice all up in my juice? I didn't call for this. Like, why? I didn't appreciate that. I was like, the writers could have done better. If they wanted a moment to bring everyone together, they could have found something else.
Right. I mean,
especially
you're premiering 2 episodes, you could have found time to put that in there. You know, like
you could have done so much better. But I want to talk about Bianca's boyfriend.
Oh, crap!
Remember last season when Bianca and then they went to the Hamptons? She met this cute guy. They didn't bring him back into the new season. We start off the season seeing Blanca in bed with this guy. He's the same actor who was in Ryan Murphy's Hollywood thing on Netflix.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you watched that Hollywood on Netflix?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't even know that though. Wow. Okay, recycling actors. I see you.
I mean, that's Ryan Murphy's thing. And if you work for him on one project, he will take you on another. So
yeah, like Leah Michelle.
Yeah, like Leah Michelle. Some people don't like her, so I'm like, I don't want to talk about her.
Yeah, we're not going to go to Miss Leah, okay? We're not going to go to her, but that's...
So what do you think of the boyfriend? Because the boyfriend is a doctor and Blanca works at the hospital, so it's a cute little relationship. He knows exactly who Blanca is. Blanca is a transgendered woman, and she's open about it, and
she takes pride into it.
Yeah, she takes pride in it. At some point, she meets the parents. Ooh. Tell me what you think about that scene and how relatable that scene is to you.
Michael, let me just tell you something, right? The way Chris was introduced, I thought it was cute, right? I was like, okay, she has a new man, good for her, beautiful. Now, when the story progressed into episode 2, I was like, okay, you can tell that she's insecure about her relationship. She feels, and she stated that Chris is too good for her, right? And even so, she felt that way because of meeting the mom and dad. The mom was coming off very shady. She was very much like, oh, okay, so where you from? You know, just trying to see where she's from. She basically said she's from Castle Hill. We all know Castle Hill in the Bronx is the hood. Do you feel me? Like, and she's just basically sharing her story. And then the mother was on to it. I think the mother picked up that she was transgender. And she was like, do you want to have kids? Why are you asking all these questions attacking this character? Yeah. And Chris was just like, I wouldn't say he was defending her in a way. I would say he was just trying to get them to understand each other, right? At first. And then I laughed because there was a moment where they were like, oh, how did y'all meet? And they were like, oh, we met, at work, and they had a conversation, and it cuts to them fucking inside the job. I was living. I was like, fucking, get it in. I was like, you go, girl. I was like, oh, you better work. I was hot. But then...
I loved the fact that I was watching it with someone, and they said, when they had the second meeting, because the mom was obviously disrespectful to Blanca.
Very.
She was asking a lot of questions, and she was trying to... She's obviously one of those black women who, of the time, you would call them like block, because they're fancy black. They have money, and they feel like they're the Huxtables, and they're a little highbrow. So... they had that moment you talked about. The second meeting was like sprung up out of the blue. I was watching it, and then the guy was like, "Oh, we have to have dinner with them tonight." And I'm like, my first reaction was like, if I come from work and you just tell me I have to go have dinner with somebody, I might be tired, I might not be in the mood. I'm like, I don't know who and you are going. But then I was reminded that this is the 90s. They didn't have cell phones, so
yeah, they
you
had
kind of just have to roll
Uber.
with the punches. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the second meeting with the mom, Blanca was like going, like she was defending herself. She was no longer trying to impress this woman. She's like, I'm proud of who I am, and I'm not going to have you talk down to me. And she wanted the boyfriend, to step up and defend her to the mom.
Which he did.
He did. Would you be uncomfortable as Blanca standing there while your partner defends you to their parent, or would you like to not be in the room and have your partner defend you to the parent when you're like not there?
This is where it gets tricky, right? This is where my partner, right? If we're going to continue on a relationship, you're gonna have to check your mom, right? Not me. That's not my responsibility, right? That's not my job. This is your mother. So no, you're good. But this is your mother, right? I would have been like, look, if you would like to get to know me, ask me real questions, ask me. Ask me straight up. You feel me? So that way you really get to know who I am as a person. Like, she was already on it with the mom because fun fact, the mother said that the dad was a psychiatrist for transsexual people, right? That's what she said. Right. So I was like, interesting. Maybe that might be an interesting story moving forward. I'll leave it at that. But
what happened?
But sorry. My phone just went woo. But no, it's interesting. What about you? If you were stuck in that situation, what would you have done?
I hate uncomfortable situations for myself in real life, but and I don't even like uncomfortable situations for other people. If I were sitting there and my partner's mom was grilling me about my personal life and what my goals and aspirations are and blah, 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 and I'm like, this is uncomfortable and this is just too much for the first and second meeting.
Right.
I'm really good at words, and I'm really charming when I'm in the mood to be.
No, you are charming. You are very charming.
So I would probably try to deflect and just answer her questions and move on. But I probably would not go directly to the mom and like da 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 da. I don't like this and that. Depending, like if I respect my partner, I'm gonna be like, okay, so that encounter, after everything is done, I'll be that encounter I just had with your mom, that was a little uncomfortable for me. And I really would like for you to make sure that never happens again, because I don't want to have to deal with this in the future. And if they don't do that, and the next time I see the mom's like up in my face, I would have to tell the partner, I can't continue, unfortunately. Because I just won't do that. It's like, I completely agree with you. I completely see where you're coming from with this. And it's like, mind you, this is all happening in episode 2, right? Speaking of episode 2, it's a lot. Speaking of episode 2, there are a couple of characters that we missed out on at the beginning. For example, Lulu and Angel and Poppy. Like, let's get into it. When they were smoking in the house because they're on the rock, that's what they do on the rock, and you can see that they're battling addiction as well. The same way Praytel is battling his alcoholism is the same way Lulu and Angel's battling their addiction. Like, how did you feel about Poppy walking in and catching them? How did you feel about that scene when episode 2 started and he walked in very upset? I totally related to him. I'm like, he is there, like, he started off robbing people at the piers. And he was like a little boy on the streets, and he met this family, and he is trying to make something better of himself. And he really fought to have like an office and control people and be a manager and all these things. And they live a good life. They have a beautiful apartment. They have money. Yeah, they do. This is not something that's... Yeah, this is not something that's known or the norm for people who look like them. Angel is a transgendered woman. Back in the day, a lot of them didn't have a lot of opportunities. Some of them made it as models and actors, but they had to hide it, and they had to be unclockable to survive for many years. So him doing all of this for her and for them so they can better themselves, and then she's just like throwing it away. I could tell she was going through something because she wasn't working a lot, so she felt like, what's my purpose? What am I going to do with myself? Frustrated with herself, she turned to, drugs, unfortunately. And so I would have been mad too.
It's sad because as I'm watching it, you could tell her not working in a while is affecting her. And
it is definitely bothering her.
It's bothering her big time. As well as Lulu, because Lulu doesn't know what she's doing with herself either. It's like, you don't know whether you want to go to school or you're even committed to going to school. You're really stuck on this addiction. And drugs are really going to play a big role this season, especially back in the 90s. It's really going to take a toll. And then also, Poppy was arguing with Angel and saying, you know how lucky we are not to have the disease? You know how lucky we are to sit here and have a conversation and have what we have? And she just immediately went into attack mode, like, oh, you're cheating on me, aren't you? Like, it was just crazy. And he literally, like, almost broke down crying. Amazing. The acting really stepped up this season.
The acting stepped up. I'm very proud of them because it feels like a lot of them over the years have taken a lot more acting classes. So I remember watching an interview with Bob, the drag queen.
Love
If
Bob.
you watch my channel, then you must know who Bob is. Famous drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race. And Bob was saying you have to understand that a lot of these characters are very specific and they wanted to get authentic people. So it's not like when you had Letter to Tu Wong Fu. You remember Tu Wong Fu, right?
I love Tu Wong Fu. That's my movie.
So it's not like that movie when they didn't have famous gay actors to play these drag queen roles. They got Wesley Snipes and, other famous actors. And so now it's like we're having this movie about the ballroom scene. It's a bunch of gay people, lesbians, transgender people, everybody in the LGBTQ community. Right. We want authentic people to play these characters. So we want an actual transgender woman, an actual transgender man, an actual gay man, actual lesbian woman, an actual pansexual, like whatever you are. So finding these specific characters, think about Elektra. I think Bob said this. Elektra is supposed to be a 40-something-year-old woman, like a late 30s, early 40s-year-old woman who is black, who is of like maybe Caribbean descent and transgendered. It's like going out there as a casting director to go find that specific person. It's not like you're saying, find me a white superhero. You can find a million of those. But finding these specific things in the age group and the this and the that, it's like probably Elektra and 50 other people that auditioned, Or maybe 100, who knows. And out of everyone who auditioned, a lot of them probably didn't have a big background in acting. And so it's like picking the best out of what you had available. And I feel like that's what happened with a lot of the characters in the show. And over the years, a lot of them have stepped up their acting. I've always kind of liked Elektra's acting. I felt like the way she delivers a line, her accent, her everything, it's very grand and it's very...
I love it.
A lot. So I like it a lot for the character she has. If she gets a different character, I'm assuming I'm going to see something different. But for Elektra, whatever she's doing, it works.
No, it definitely does work. But I just, oh my God, not to go off topic, but I really hope they bring her back for season 2 of Legendary, because I need some more of Miss Dominique, okay? Like,
I don't know if they're going to bring her back, because she came and she was like in it with what's his name, La Roche.
I can't believe Ball's back. I'm not even gonna hold you. I
thought they would have replaced him, but then I was like, you know what? If it works, it works. Whatever.
Right.
I just hope he's not so like catty with the contestants, because a lot of the contestants were doing pretty fine, and he was just like,
and he just chopping
I don't like
them.
her. Mm-hmm.
Just giving them a chop.
It's very obvious he has favorites, and if he thinks you're pretty and you have good clothes and like you're into expensive taste. He's like, I like you, and you're who I'm gonna like rock with.
But it's
which
not
I
like
don't like.
their style. We'll get into legendary later, but
We'll talk about Legendary next week.
yeah, we'll talk about that next week because it's gonna be a whole thing. But yeah, no, with Elektra herself and just trying to find these actors to fulfill those roles, I think Dominique was a perfect fit, and everybody is a perfect fit for the roles that they've got. And the acting this season, you can tell it's already gonna be a thing because when Poppy was talking to Angel, it was very much like, I really, really want us to work. I really, really want you to get sober so I can marry you. Because you can tell that's a storyline that's going to progress to see how they're going to get married. Because, being gay or being
Yeah,
trans,
and
I
it's
don't
not
think
like
you would,
today where you
yeah,
can go and change your ID and have a different gender assigned to your ID and a different name. You
right,
can change your name back then, but still your gender is going to be the same, and it wasn't
same,
legal for same-sex marriages, and they wouldn't have classified Angel as a woman back
a
then.
female, right.
Right.
Which is, I can't wait to see where that story goes. And speaking of
It's
story
the
right now, oh, sorry, go
No, go
again.
ahead. What
Oh,
happened?
speaking of stories right now, Lulu was at rehearsal because, as you know, they decided to bring back the house of,
Right.
I was going to say Abundance, but that's not it. Evangelista.
Evanja,
Evangelista.
Lista.
Eros. I'm sorry. It reminds me of Aga. But basically, they're bringing the house back and they want to fundraise for Pray Tell to take him to rehab to cover his expenses. And then you see Lulu in this Tony Braxton getup with this shake and go wig. How did you feel about that whole scene where Elektra was telling her basically like this ain't gonna work and talking about her weight?
Woo. Body positivity is like a brand new concept for our generation and the generation before us.
Right.
Body positivity was never even a concept back in the 90s, going all the way back. If you think about people from the 20s, like coming all the way up, it's always been skinny, 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 tiny waist, and then all of a sudden it's like big boobs, then big boobs went out, then it's like big butt, then big butt and big boobs. Anyways,
Right.
for the time, for the 90s, it made sense for that line and that scene to be a thing because the body types had to be very thin. You had to look like Madonna or Paula Abdul or Janet Jackson to be considered a beautiful woman.
Right.
Or, Naomi Campbell and all those other supermodels. So I got it. And it was like harsh to see now. It's like, oh, gross, cringe. But like, it's a period piece. They're talking about what happened in the 90s. And I was like, yep,
But
that makes a lot of sense. That's how
no,
people would
it
have been.
does. It
Yeah.
does, but the fact that she's on drugs and she's losing all this weight, Elektra's just very much being a mother to her and giving her a harsh shot. I love Elektra this season. Like, first of all, she's bringing looks this season. Like,
For
she
sure.
didn't come to play. Like, she's bringing looks and she's like mothering everybody. Lulu with the drugs and her weight loss, and Blanca even mentioned it. Like, she was talking to Angel, like, y'all both losing weight, essentially. Like, what's going on with y'all? Not realizing that they're on drugs. But Elektra, no, she was like, you put the pipe down, you
Yeah.
know? Like, it's just, it's breaking my heart because I don't want to see these characters wither away this season, you know?
A
I
lot of them I
don't,
feel like will have a come around moment because at the end of episode 2 we saw that Pray Tell decided to go to rehab, so he's gonna go
right.
to rehab, which is great. They didn't raise all that money for nothing. And yeah, I'm really happy with the storyline of most of the characters so far. I think the only person I don't see them talking much about and giving us much insight into what they've been going through is Damien, because Damon was the
Mm,
last time I saw him, he was in France starting his own house and touring, and now it's
right.
like they mentioned briefly that he was like addicted to like abusing alcohol, and then it's like he's trying to get off of it, but they didn't really bring him in much scenes. They didn't talk about what he's going through a lot, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think Lamar was mentioning it. If I'm mistaken, I think Lamar was
Right.
mentioning it, and also bringing it back into this episode 2 with Lamar. You see at the ball, the Hassan, because, you know, they were trying to compete for the grand prize to get the expenses for
Yeah.
Preytel without Preytel knowing. You can see the way Lamar's just like vicious. Yes, he was serving in his black and white. He was serving his little lip
Anyway,
sync.
what do you think? Who won that lip sync, Lamar or Pray Tell? Because they did a little lip sync for your life moment.
Ooh.
Who's your favorite?
Okay, as much as I want to say Pray Tell, as much as I want to, just because I love the character, I'm not gonna lie, he didn't deserve all the tens. Like, even
No, like I love the song that Pray Tell lip sync to. I prefer that song over the Janet Jackson song that Lamar did. But you're right, Lamar ate him up,
ate
in
him
my
up, and then
opinion.
he said something too. He literally said something like, "Hold on, Tom, the Hassan Khan has been disrespected all night," which is kind of what you see in ballroom scene where people
Yeah,
go up to
very
the
much
panel.
that. If people feel like they didn't get their tens that they deserve, they're gonna like rebut.
Right. But the way he went about it though, and brought out a knife, talking about he's gonna cut Raytel, I was gagged. I was like, I did not
Does
see
that
that.
even happen in the not drag race? Does that happen in the ballroom scene? My worlds are colliding, guys.
I don't
Because
see. I
a
don't see
few,
people getting cut, but fights will
well,
happen.
okay, because it's been a few different episodes throughout the entire series
Hmm.
where I've seen like a knife being pulled or a hammer. Candy always had a hammer ready to fight. Electra
Right.
always had a blade. So I'm like, I guess this is a thing. Maybe this happened in the 90s. Maybe people were getting cut in the 90s.
But you know what? I feel like because being queer at that time, they were so easily attacked back then that they needed
Everyone had to
objects
have protection.
to
Yeah.
defend themselves, regardless of what was going on. So that was already like built into their mindset. Like, I need to protect myself when I'm going out on these streets. Because it's not like today where we can just go outside and, yeah, okay, it's still dangerous, but at a ball function, you kind of know what you're going to get when you step in. Back then, it was transitioning into what it's becoming now, which tying it all the way back, you can just see the change, like the tens and then the grand prize. It was a lot, but
So what do you
yeah,
think about the entire two episodes? Like, if you were to give it a rating, 10 being like, give it a rating on a percentage scale. Like, I say, for me, watching the first two episodes, I'd be like, on Michael's Rotten Tomato, I'll give it a good 75.
75.
And I feel like that's generous. What do you
Okay.
think?
Ooh, generous. All right. So to be realistic, I'm gonna rate them different. The episode's different, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna rate episode one. I'll give it an 8, right? 8 out of 10, right? Like it, yeah, it made me cry, made me feel like you came in with a bang. But I wasn't there yet until the second episode. I'll give that a 10 out of 10 because it really like got me into seeing what Lamar was about, how shitty he's gonna be, the way Castle went to the hospital and he was thinking about offing himself. Let's just take a moment to look at that scene where Preytel ran into the hotel room and they cried together saying that I need you to fight. That's what caused Preytel to really go to rehab. Like, it was just hitting so many beautiful moments in episode 2 where I was just like, damn, you got Chris checking his mother saying I love Blanca. Her, you can see Blanca and her insecurities really starting to take form. And Erica saying, "You're my daughter, baby. You got to get your shit together." Electra now becoming a mother figure. Angel and Poppy really trying to figure out their dynamic of their relationship, trying to fight addiction. It's just 10 out of 10. I'm ready to see episode 3 now. Like, let's go.
All right. Well, there you have it. Danny thinks a 10 out of 10. I gave them a 7. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I want to know what y'all think. Like,
where can people find you?
well, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at DX and NY Ortega, 2 A's on Twitter.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Share if you care at all about my life. And if you have something you'd like to see us like react to or do a recap of, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much and bye. Hey beautiful humans, I have so much more content. Come on, watch my shit.